Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Clean Break, a podcast dealing with art and business. This is episode 136. Today's guest is Luke Chu. My name is Matt Gondek. That does not change. Guys, Luke Chu is a fine artist. He's a toy maker. He's a legend in the art world. He's a third wave lowbrow artist, which we talk about in this interview. I didn't know that until here. He's a recovering addict and just an amazing fucking guy. Every once in a while here on the podcast, I have a guest where we just really get into it and I lose track of time and it just goes really well. This is definitely one of those episodes, so you're going to like this one. Just a reminder, my solo exhibition, Original Character, is going on right now until May 1st. It's in New York City. What is the address? It's 504 West 22nd Street in New York, 10011. The exhibition, Original Character, is a bunch of new paintings, new drawings, new screen prints, and some other stuff. So if you're in New York, definitely check that out. You only have until May 1st. That's enough about me. Here he is. Sit back, relax. It's Luke Chu season.
Yeah, my background is in graphic design. So because when I was growing up, whenever you hear the word artist, it was always coupled with the word starving.
Yeah, totally.
And so and then when you look at how much tuition costs at art center, and this is I'm 48 years old, and so I started going to school in the 90s, and tuition at the time was like $50,000 a year, which would probably be pretty good right now.
Yeah, yeah.
But when I went to Cal Poly, which was at the time like $750 a term.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I figured, well, I'll go into the practical person's, art career, which is graphic design.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I keep telling this story, but it's very much true. But before I graduated, I had professors kind of pull me aside and go, Luke, you're a mediocre graphic designer, but you're a much better illustrator. And we suggest that you kind of pursue the illustration thing.
That's what you did.
And that's, well, kind of. I got hired by a company called the Ernie Ball Company. They are a guitar and guitar string manufacturer, producer. And the president at the time, Sterling Ball, decided to kind of drop into Cal Poly and find artists in there. And I kind of followed in the footsteps of artists. There was one of these artists who was a Disney guy who used to do who worked on Small World, and followed after him, the Piz was one of their artists. And
The Piz?
The Piz, yeah. He was a lowbrow artist,
Okay.
kind of known for his hot rods and tiki
okay.
kind of stuff. And, and then I kind of came in for a while until I was fired for, being kind of dumb.
Yeah, I got you.
Then once I wore out all my welcomes in San Luis Obispo, I moved to, which is where the school is and the company is. I moved to Los Angeles in 2003 and kind of, fell into the art thing.
Did you start painting the bears immediately?
No. I mean, yes and no. I started with just kind of playing with anthropomorphized characters. I was really influenced by artists like Camille Rose Garcia and another Bay Area artist named Death P. Sun, who does a lot of these kind of cats. And I did anthropomorphic characters because I did not know how to properly draw the human form.
Okay.
I took some illustration classes, but I never really studied illustration. I took a handful of life drawing classes, but I was not a expert life drawer or something like that.
Yeah.
So I figured the easiest way to, kind of jump into all of that is to create a cartoonish character. And so there's a story that I also tell, which is how I, associated myself with a bear. And I guess, I'm assuming that your most of your audience are adults.
Yeah, you can swear and everything. Yeah, totally.
Okay. So my best friend at the time and I were we started this long running joke about Care Bears, and it kind of all culminated to this point where we were on acid and we were running around like my house, like going on about how we're Care Bears.
Okay.
And I used to live in that house. I lived in a college town, San Luis Obispo. And I lived in that house where when the bars closed down, friends would show up.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's like your 20s, right?
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
everyone did that.
Yeah. And so, around 2:00 in the morning, bars closed down. And a bunch of people show up, and this one guy shows up. I still have no idea who the guy was. And we're like, oh, hey, I'm fucking Cares a Lot Bear, and I'm like Sunshine Bear. What bear are you? And he looks at us like you just get the sense that he's itching for a fight.
Jesus, okay.
And he's like, you guys are fucking bullshit bears. And we look at each other, and we're like, oh my God! And we like run around the house in glee because it was the funniest thing we had ever heard. And after that, her name was Jamie. She was Jamie Bear, and I was Luke Bear. And we just, every time we still see each other, we greet each other with those titles. And so when I moved to Los Angeles to create and started painting, I figured like, okay, I should create a bear character, as a stand-in for myself. And I kind of philosophized that the reason why I would use these anthropomorphic characters is because by doing so, I am bypassing the potential ageism, racism, and sexism that comes along with using human forms.
Okay.
And
that's really smart.
I like to think I was being clever, but that's how I ended up formulating and developing this character. And then when I was studying characters, the character I kind of found myself fixating toward was Hello Kitty, because of the fact that if you look at, say, Disney characters or even Hanna-Barbera characters or like cereal box characters, they are constantly evolving and changing over time to fit the most current trends in visual communication. But Hello Kitty has stayed
exactly the same.
The same for now over 45 years. And I wanted to create a character design that I felt would have a timelessness that, say 60 years down the line, 100 years down the line, if people are looking at my work, it would still speak in a kind of modern-ish way. And I decided that the reason why Hello Kitty is such a successful design is because of its minimalism. It is the silhouette plus 2 eyes and a nose, 6 whiskers and a bow.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
And so that my character is basically just that head, that silhouette, plus the 2 eyes and a nose. Yeah. And once in a while I'll throw a mouth, and if it fits, if it works for the narrative.
Yeah. Why is everything always so depressing looking?
Okay. So
is it not? I mean, sorry if you don't think it is, but like people have opinions of everyone's work, and like
absolutely.
If someone didn't know your work and looked at it as an umbrella overall, it's it looks kind of gloomy, right? And like kind of depressing.
It is depressing. And that's very intentional. When I just lay it all out, I am a recovering drug addict.
I'm glad you brought up. I wanted to talk to you about that.
Yeah. When I started, when I was still living in San Luis Obispo, I got caught up in the entire OxyContin pharmaceutical thing, and then transitioned into street drugs like heroin and methamphetamine.
Like everything.
Oh, and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
And then when I moved to Los Angeles in 2003, I kind of moved in here to move in with my family, sober up. And I did. I sobered up for probably a good year and a half, and long enough for me to get into the entire underground art scene, like the warehouse parties in Los Angeles that were happening at the time, like Cannibal Flower or Create Fixate, and get the attention of art galleries, build up a portfolio, and that all worked out. But actually, the funny thing is that one of the reasons why LA was good for me was because I didn't know how to cop in Los Angeles.
You couldn't get the drugs.
Yeah, I couldn't get the drugs.
Okay.
But the irony is that when Gallery Row was christened, and they had a big event here in downtown Los Angeles, I happened to be on top of one of the parking garages, And that's when I saw this couple, and they were struggling to get on top of a storage container. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And he was like, he got on top and he was pulling her up by the arms, and she was like, you're hurting me, and all this other shit. And I was just sitting up here looking down at this, like, you know, crazy shit going on. And then I saw him like take his jacket off and pull 2 fully loaded syringes, you know, out of his pocket. And and that's when I realized that, oh shit, I'm in the middle of an open air drug market in downtown Los Angeles.
Downtown Los Angeles. Yeah.
Yeah. And
this is the worst place to move to get away from drugs.
But I lived in Monterey Park, which is a suburb east of downtown Los Angeles. It's not too far, but if you don't like know downtown Los Angeles and you've never lived in LA, you just don't like, you look at downtown LA, you look at Skid Row, and it's just like, holy shit, like this is not a safe place to be hanging around at. And so I never thought to myself like, oh, I have a reason to go downtown. Until that happened. Yeah. And that following weekend, I, you know, copped my first, you know, like little, like, handful of doses, a handful of balloons of heroin, and it was all downhill from there. And my work kind of reflected a lot of the addiction issues that I was dealing with.
You were able to work while you're doing all this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's certain drugs out there that are kind of functional drugs.
Okay.
If you're able to balance things out correctly.
Yeah.
And for me, heroin and stimulants like methamphetamine and cocaine were like that for me.
Yeah, got you.
And I was strung out. I got myself strung out again for probably another 7 years, all the way until 2010.
Okay.
And if you like look at my work, it gets darker and bloodier and heavier and heavier and heavier as the years go on, because like I was destroying my body. I was destroying my relationship with my family. My career was suffering because my intention with my work was to sell it so I can make enough money so I could be able to feed my addiction. Yeah. And I feel like I played it safe. Like I didn't experiment. I didn't try anything different. I didn't try to grow as an artist.
You were just making money to buy drugs.
Yeah.
Got you.
But at the same time, I was also kind of bearing my soul through my work. Like, you know, I had a painting called Abscess that I created like in 2008. And it was just a bear just kind of standing there with a huge like pink mound growing off of his arm. And my sister was at the show and she saw it and she was just like, this is the most insane cry for help, you know, that I've seen.
Your family knew that you were using and everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so basically my work, I continue spiraling out of control, but I'm still able to like make work and make money and make things happen. And eventually my dealer gets busted, and I got busted through the dealer because I was calling her like constantly until like someone picked up. And when the person who picked up the phone was a man's voice, I was like, okay, like my entire consciousness was screaming at me like, it's a hang fucking cop. Up.
Yeah. But you still like, what's up? Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah. I was that kind of wreck. And when I went to the spot to meet him,
are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
I looked at him and I was like, it's a fucking cop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still handed my money over to him, got him a sack of balloons. And then, you know, I looked at it and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Because it was packaged in a weird way. And as soon as I turned around, a cop car, like, like slams up.
So what happened to you?
They put me in a jail cell and let me out, you know, afterwards that night.
Really? Know? That's it?
Yeah, that's it. But like I have to report to court and everything.
Okay.
And I had been in a couple different county jails because of all of this. San Luis Obispo. I grew up in Fresno, So knowing the situation, I knew that basically, like, I'm a marked man.
Yeah.
If I keep this lifestyle up, it's just going to be me in and out of jails, like, until either I'm sober or I'm dead.
Totally.
And I'd been wanting to get sober for years now, but I just didn't know how to make that happen. The reason why I wanted to get sober not only was because my health was really spiraling out of control. Like, I stopped, shooting up in my arms and started shooting up in my legs because I needed my arms to paint. And this is, like, seriously something that was playing out in my head. Like, if I had to give up something, a part of my body.
It's the legs, not the arms.
Yeah.
God, that's a fucked up way of thinking, dude.
Yeah, like, it is. I never thought that, like, I could see the bottom like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely saw the bottom. I think I never, like, hit crazy rock bottom. Like, I was never living on the streets. I was never sucking dick. I was never.
Yeah, but still, like, you're still. Do you think the career path you chose kind of led into that? Because, like, to be completely honest, over Christmas, I finally admitted this to my mom. Like, I never did drugs in my life until I moved to Los Angeles, and I found out of nowhere I got addicted to cocaine because I was already a successful artist. I could do whatever the fuck I wanted all the time. I had all kinds of money. Why not do cocaine? And I was busy. I had so much work to do. I just, like, started doing cocaine all day.
Right.
And I started, like, just seeing the darkness. Like, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I've never done anything but cocaine. Like, I couldn't even imagine what that's like for you. But, like, looking back now, like, what a fucking dark period that was. But I don't think I could have got to that point if I, like, worked at, like, a call center or something. Because, like, I could literally, if I wanted to, stay up till 7 a.m. doing cocaine because I didn't have to go to work.
Right.
Do you think that was, like, part of it?
Maybe. I think that, the thing that I kind of found a little bit helpful was the fact that, at least amongst the people that I befriended in the LA art scene, like, if they were using, I had no idea. Like,
okay.
I wasn't surrounded by a whole bunch of people who were using. I wasn't surrounded by, I had one artist friend who was using, but he ended up kind of, like, dropping out of the art thing for a long period of time because of it. A lot of the artists, especially in LA, are kind of come from very professional backgrounds, and a lot of them are usually balancing, like, some, like, day job they're doing for an animation studio, like painting backgrounds.
Yeah.
And in nighttime, they're working on art shows, and a lot of them are raising families now and stuff. And so I never really, I kind of kept to myself, throughout all of this, because it was such a fucking ugly, like, habit.
You didn't even go to your own art shows. I don't mean to be rude, dude. I didn't know you for years. Like, we're like, you even said it yourself before we hit record. Like, this is the first time we're actually going to talk. Like, not to be rude, but the first thing I ever heard about you ever was like, oh yeah, Luke used to be really addicted to drugs. He used to not even go to his own art shows. And I was like, wow, really?
Or I would just show up for very short periods of time.
Okay.
Like,
it was that bad.
Yeah, the last 30 minutes. Like, one of the worst stories that I have was back, do you remember M Modern Gallery in Palm Springs?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a show at M Modern Gallery, and I had been up for, like, 5 days, like, this shooting up meth and heroin, and I had finished my show, and I was driving up the day of the opening, and I think I left at noon, and I was pulling over and fixing, move forward some more, pull over, fix, because I was so tired too. Yeah. And it took me, like, 8 hours
to go. So everyone listening, Palm Springs is like an hour and a half from LA. Holy fuck, man.
Yeah. And by the time I got there, the parking lot, the gallery were full of people. Yeah. And I just show up, and my friends come into my car. They open up the van, and they pull the artwork out.
I thought they were going to say you out.
And then they, like, I had 2 paintings that I was still working on. I grabbed those 2. Everyone, they grab all the paintings, they line them up, like, face toward the wall, so you can't actually see the paintings. And I just grab the 2 paintings I'm working on and I run to the back room and I sit them down. I sit down and I just start crying, because I've left
at the end.
left so many people hanging. I was still fucking working on this show, but then like they turn the paintings up, they hang them on the wall and start selling, and a couple of people like would come to the back to see like how I'm doing or to see what I'm working on, and I just couldn't talk to them, and I was such a fucking mess. I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
That like
because you were doing this all yourself. You were by yourself doing this shit. So it's not like you were like in a group of people and it was fun.
No.
God, dude, that's fucking dark, man. Sorry.
Yeah, I did it by myself because of the fact that I also didn't want to share. Right.
Okay.
Like I've dated girls while like I was using, and when you're using with a a person that you're in a relationship, you're only using half.
Totally. Same with money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, it was a crazy time in my life. When I sobered up, I still had money, and I got a lawyer to like help me work through all the like warrants that I had out in different counties and all the drug offense stuff. I had crazy like open wounds, like Requiem for a Dream style open sores all over my legs because of the
I don't want to see them. Don't show me.
Are you sure?
I don't like that stuff. No.
Okay.
Really gross.
They're healed now.
Well, I guess it's been fucking 12 years. Show me one. Okay. All right, let me see one.
You can see it, like
holy fuck, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It goes all the way up to my knee.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah. But like I had to have 2 skin grafts. I had to go to a wound clinic at UCLA for.
And they know why you're there.
Yeah.
Is that embarrassing?
No.
They're just like they don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I mean, like, these people have seen
everything.
So much. Yeah, they've seen everything. I've asked questions when I was in the wound clinic.
So
like,
your wake up call was the you went and the cop busted you. That was it?
Yeah. Well, like this wasn't the first time I'd been arrested, mind you. This is like the.
Yeah, you said that, but like, why was this the one? 2010, right?
October 25th, 2010.
Okay.
It was. I'd been waiting for an out for a long time. My dealer gets busted, so I don't have at the time I was literally doing $225 worth of dope a day.
Holy fuck! How were you affording that? That Fall Out Boy money you had?
That's $70,000 a year.
That's insane. Oh my god, dude! How you?
I was selling art.
Yeah, you're a popular artist, but Jesus, that's dumb.
Yeah. It is not smart.
No. Holy fuck, man.
It was fucking stupid. And
okay, sorry. Go back on track here. Okay, you're getting clean here. 2010, October 25th.
Yeah, so I got busted. I get on a methadone clinic, to help me like still like I don't know, just to deal with the withdrawals. The withdrawals were so heavy. And I've been sober since then. I mean, well, mostly sober, but I don't dabble with any like hard shit. Like
I hope not. Yeah,
if someone had like mushrooms or something like that, I'll microdose a little bit. But like it's
none of the hard stuff.
Yeah, none of the hard stuff anymore.
I got you.
And I don't drink anymore. I actually stopped drinking a long time ago because I suffer from. Well, I don't suffer from it. I just get what I call Asian drinking syndrome.
Turn red.
Or the Asian glow.
Yeah.
And that's just your body screaming at you like, hey,
don't do this to me. You're poisoning me.
This is not a good look on you.
Yeah.
So, but I think a lot of the dark themes kind of come from that. And the way I also legitimize is that I like to say that my work is a study in contrast. It's just like your own work. It's this idea of like these cute, approachable, characters they can empathize with, in contrast with like these kind of grotesque,
horrible things happening to them.
Narratives.
Yeah.
And so that kind of contrast creates compelling artwork.
Yeah.
What's really interesting about the times that we live in now is that I'm so glad that this genre, whether you call it lowbrow or pop surrealism or whatever bullshit fucking title you decide to fucking call it, is what's happening now. Like, I remember going to
What do you mean what's happening?
like street art, illustration, all that stuff is what people are. It's what's in vogue now. And
Yeah, you got in on this golden, like, maybe it's just me calling it this, but like how old you are and how I was when I was in like 2008 looking at someone like you. There's like this golden age that maybe it happened before that, but I didn't know. But like from a kid growing up in Pittsburgh, by the way, I know you're from Philly, so I hate you. Fuck you. But as a kid growing up in Pittsburgh, watching the fucking like Upper Playground comes out and then the Juxtapose and the social media is happening. And for the first time, artists like us and any kind of artists are being treated as like someone like a professional skateboarder would be treated. Like, look how cool this person is. They go out and have art, and like it's being marketed in a way where it's like it's cool. Mm-hmm. And you were one of those guys. Like you were in that group of people. I don't know why I brought this up, but it's very interesting to think about. Because I don't know if like artists before, I'm not saying like your generation or anything, but like you guys were all like the first people marketed
going
as
out
like
to events, hanging out with other artists.
it's like, look how cool these guys are. And like I didn't even have to like your work or like someone like Alex Pardee or like Jeff Soto. Even if I didn't like the work, and I'm not saying I do like the work, but like there was a cool factor there. And like the cool factor was really being sold to kids like me growing up.
Sure.
You know, and like that's a weird thing.
That is weird because I didn't see it that way at all.
Of course not, because you're here and you're in it, you're doing it. But like to the rest of us looking in, looking in the window, like that's so fucking cool.
Yeah, but you know, all we were doing was grinding.
Totally. Because now I'm doing it, and I know like there's like 15-year-old kids talking to me. I'm like, dude, I got up at 4:30 today. You know?
yeah. You're working. You go out like a handful of times a year.
Yeah.
Sure, you get to travel. Sure, like you get great.
You get travel to work.
Yeah, and you have like hosts, and you get to eat good things. You get to see fun things, but at the end of the day, like all of that payoff is built on a mountain of work.
Yeah, by yourself,
and if you have assistants, like that still you are grinding at this constantly, and you have to but at the same time, there's a reward for it all.
There's a huge reward.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, there's a huge reward.
Yeah, but it. I often, I just did an interview for Spectrum for my last solo show at Corey Holford, and they had a quote from me talking about how the art game is a high risk game, but they never got my rationale why I say it's a high risk career. And the reason why I think it's a high risk career is because you are like just pouring your soul and your time and your passions onto canvas, onto walls, onto whatever, digital files, and you have no control as to whether or not people are going to like it or not.
Totally.
And then even if some people like it, you have fans for your work, it's never enough.
No, it's not.
it's never enough because, okay, you might have a lot of young people or young, a lot of non-artists who like your work, but then but you also want the love and adoration from the artists.
Yeah, who gives a fuck if other artists? They're not gonna buy my shit, but you do. You want the artists to think you're cool and to like you.
Yeah,
totally, absolutely. Oh my god, it's so true. It's pointless.
And but the thing is that there's these two groups of artists. There is the popular artists, and there's the artists. Yeah. And we want both.
But you can't.
But you can't have both.
No, you can't.
And the thing is that if you get popular fast and you get people are going to look at you. Your colleagues, though they'll smile at you and shake your hand and give you a hug, they're fucking judging you.
Trust me, I know. I got popular really quickly. After 10 years, it all happened within a year, and I was thrown in these situations where I was meeting my idols, and they're just not giving me the time of day, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Totally, man. It was hard. Yeah, man. Yeah. I know. Yeah, fuck, man. You're right. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
I trust me. I every time I look at my own work, I just dread the thought of some kid who's at Art Center or Otis or any of the big art schools looking at it, because I feel they're just taking it apart with their eyes and like looking at it and going, oh, this guy really can't paint. He's a fucking hack. Because that's how I feel about myself to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And it's because I mean, like, I think that's one of the things that like you and I kind of share is that we have formulas, really good formulas, like solid, like very communicative formulas, but there's a certain formula that we play with
totally
in our work.
Absolutely.
And like, why should I change the formula? It's a really good fucking formula.
Don't fix what ain't broke, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Until it's broken for me.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Or, yourself. But I often look at, like, say, blue chip artists, like a Jeff Koons or, like any of those other amazing pop artists. And I'm like, one day they're doing, or like, what's his name? I can't remember.
Damien Hirst?
Damien Hirst. Like one day he's doing dots. Mm-hmm. Another day he's doing freaking like, oxidized bronze.
But at that point, it's his name that sells the work.
Right. Well, I've been trying to figure out like what is it that makes like how much like art schooling have you got?
0.
Okay, yeah, same here. The furthest I have is that the BS in freaking graphic design.
Yeah.
And for a while, I've been thinking to myself like, I should get a fucking MFA. Because that MFA is the thing that's going to like open things up to, but like I just don't have the time to fucking go back to school.
Because you're already successful enough where your soul is being fed by what you're doing. It's already working. Like it'd be hard to pull away and just go get an MFA at this point.
Well, that's the thing. Like, and there's so many like artists out there that I love who have pulled back for just like a couple years.
Really?
And they're like, I feel like their careers kind of like
skyrocketed after that.
No, they
didn't.
Yeah, it didn't. It flatlines for a little while.
Okay.
Because they don't have that presence.
Yeah, the hustle. Like
yeah. Like there's only a very small handful of artists in this scene who can be able to take, who could disappear for a year or two.
Yep.
And come back. Yeah. And like still like be as relevant and as interesting and as beloved.
Totally. I beat myself up if it's like 3 days. A long weekend. If I don't make something, like I'm a fucking loser. Everyone hates me now. Let me change topic a little bit.
Yeah.
Researching you to this topic, every once in a while I have a guest that every single thing about them says lowbrow artist, lowbrow artist, lowbrow artist.
Right.
I know what it means, but some people don't. Maybe explain, like, what does it mean to be a lowbrow artist?
I think at its roots, it means creating artwork that is inspired by quote unquote low culture. Low culture meaning consumer culture.
Okay.
Like animation, figurative
all
art.
Pop art then
art.
is lowbrow?
Well,
what about someone like Damien Hirst again, or like Jeff Koons?
No, not necessarily. Like depend because like Damien Hirst and Jeff Koons.
What about Claus? Is he lowbrow?
I would call him lowbrow.
You would?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, but
by your definition.
By my definition.
Okay.
But like at the same time, like lowbrow was coined by Robert Williams, and for his first book, The Lowbrow Art of Robert Williams. Mm-hmm. And I think that the reason why, like, I think the initial, like, I often look at like this entire juxtaposed lowbrow kind of thing as broken up into, up until my point or your point, like 3 or 4 generations of artists, starting with like Robert Williams, the Piz, Anthony Osgang. Those guys were like kind of the precursor. They started off with that Art Alternatives magazine, which came out before Juxtapose. The second generation would be like the Camilo Rose Garcia, Gary Baseman, Tim Biscup. They started off in the 90s. Yeah. And then the early 2000s generation kind of comes in, and that's like myself, Crayola, Aja Kawasaki. There's a ton of other ones that are just I'm not thinking of right now. I think Shepard Fairey would kind of fit into the second generation because he was, and Frank Kozik would also fit into the second generation. But then there's the fourth generation, which is where you kind of come, where you land in, and I'm sure there's a lot of other colleagues of yours that that started around the same kind of time.
Totally, yeah.
And I consider it like if you're doing like illustrative work, like that would kind of fall into that like purview of like lowbrow art to a certain degree. But I don't I don't like the label lowbrow.
I would never want to be called a lowbrow artist, and maybe I don't understand what it means enough. Like, to me, it's almost, and no offense, it's like a derogatory term.
It is.
Because you've been doing this for so long. You take what you do very seriously.
Yes.
It's very evident you do, and your work's great, and you are in huge galleries. You just had a show at a huge gallery. But to me, the word lowbrow means like you don't give a fuck. You buy your painting at some surf shop on the beach, and like all you do is hang out all day and shoot meth, and you're like, but, honestly, but you know what I mean? Like, but like, it's not a derogatory term.
No, well, you'll also, I think my Wikipedia like declares that how much I don't like being called lowbrow artist, and that's because when I think of lowbrow art, I think of a very specific genre of art, and that is that 90s like Ed Hardy, like pinstriping,
Ed Roth kind of stuff.
Yeah, Ed Roth, kind of hot rod tattoo culture, and it's great. I enjoy it, but none of my work is inspired by any of that.
Yeah. Like
I draw influence from anime, I draw influence from, and that's also like lowbrow culture to an extent. Like, it's, I love nerd culture. I love it. It's, I've been a nerd all my fucking life, and I still like, when I'm decompressing, I'll fucking watch nerd shit. And, and I'm inspired by it. At the same time, also inspired by like the contemporary art stuff that I'm looking at. I'm doing my best now to try and get into look at galleries that don't have the same mindset of the kind of work that I,
What mindset are you looking for?
Contemporary art.
Okay.
Yeah. I go to like different, I try to go to the museums, and I try to go to like different galleries that are outside of the small window of like the Corey Helford, Copro Gallery, KP Projects, Deep Space, Gallery 1988 scene.
Do you think you'd have to change, not your style, but would you have to change something to get in there? Because like you're known for this particular, even the show you just did, like we want to get into that because I think you had some really good ideas with the show you just did, but like it's still what you do.
Right.
Do you think, how are you going to convince these different galleries like to take you out all of a sudden?
I'm not going there to ask them to take me. I'm just going there for ideas, to see things outside of my window of understanding.
Okay.
I mean, I would love to like show at some of those bigger galleries, but I'm not holding my breath yet.
Okay.
And I feel like I've got plenty of time to evolve and grow and transform with my work, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I think that, like the art game is a weird game. Have you seen that? Have you seen that show or heard of that show, Adam Ruins Everything?
No.
Okay, so there's a special little thing. It's like you can look it up on YouTube. It's called Adam Ruins Everything Art. And it basically just kind of goes into the art game and how basically art is like, that's the reason why NFTs work is because that's a whole other fucking.
You're the first person I had on in like 6 episodes. Can we not talk about NFTs?
No, we're not going to talk about NFTs, but we're going to talk about the game.
Okay.
The art game.
Okay.
And how basically what it is these people who sit at the top of or near the top of the art game, like the galleries, the curators,
the gatekeepers,
of all of this, will basically pick artists.
Yes. And
they will use their money to manipulate the market.
Yes.
And that's basically, I mean, yeah.
What's your point? You want that to happen to you?
Of course I do.
Okay. All right.
If I'm being honest.
You want to cash out.
Yeah. I would love to be able to cash out. I would love to be able to like live. Like I live in a freaking humble ass apartment in San Gabriel. But
it essentially kind of it kills your career. Well, I'm saying this 9 years younger than you.
Yeah.
Maybe when I'm your age, I'll be like, I want to cash out as well.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I get why you're saying that then, because it's such a potential to kill your career. Because like I've had those conversations. They pump a lot of fucking money behind the scenes into you, and they quote unquote buy your paintings for a high price, and then they cash out one day, and now all your paintings are worth $100,000 each, but you really bottleneck the people that can own them at that point.
Oh, of course. And
So where's your career go from there? But you're saying, I'll be done. I'm just going to go chill on a beach somewhere.
Or I will hopefully keep the people who will not drop me afterwards, and I will continue.
You want to keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you say cash out, you essentially mean I want to keep going, but
I want to play
at a higher level.
in that next year.
Got you.
Yeah. Like,
okay.
I want to play with like when you look at your own work, do you judge it against your immediate colleagues, or do you judge it against the people that are above you?
It's always above. Always.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I pick people and I hate them secretly. I'm like, I'm going to fucking beat you. And then when I beat them, I feel good for a day and then I just
and then
get depressed again.
And then you look up.
Look up higher and higher and higher.
Yeah. You keep looking up. You can't fucking and you have to look down a little bit to see who's catching up on you.
Yeah. You gotta make sure they don't fucking catch up, don't you?
There's nothing wrong if they do, but it's the fire that you light underneath you to push you, harder.
It's a shitty thing, but you kind of need it. Like, it's how you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, look, I'm fucking looking at you and I'm going, fucking Matt Gondek.
Fuck you. You should have painted Bart Simpson, baby. Cha-ching.
I'm bringing it up again. I'm not bringing it up to talk about.
Go ahead, it's fine.
But to talk about, but like this, I feel like I had a show idea that I'm still going to do, but like it was very much inspired by the entire like pop